All right, this is going to be the break for Topps American Pie. So here is the list of participants right here. Should be 24 people in the break. There we go. So what we're going to do is we are going to copy this list. Copy. And we're going to go to random.org. Right click and paste. And we're going to hit this randomize button 7 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So that is our pack order right there. That is going to be our order of packs. Syntax with the first pack. John Moore gets the second pack. Marty, John Tran, Medina, Syntax, Mike, etc., etc. So here we go. What we're going to do is bust this box right here. 3 hits in the box. Let's hope we get something really fun out of here. We'll see what we get. Alright, so the packs start to the left. So this pack right here, this is going to Syntax. So let's see what you got, man. Drew, first pack. Let's see if you can pull out a hit. You got a 1940s Marlon Brando, Bud Abbott and Lou Costello from the 40s, Scrabble from the 50s, Hollywood Walk of Fame, Cary Grant, insert. All right, Marty, take it easy. Then you got an All in the Family, 1970s, Pac-Man for the 80s, The Real World premieres in the 90s, and Armstrong wins the first tour, 90s. So no refractors or anything like that in the first pack. No hits, no refractors. Some of those refractors we looked up last night, found a American Pie refractor sold for $89.99 on eBay. So some of this American Pie stuff, not even the hits. Some of those are going for pretty good. Next up, we got John Moore. This is John Moore's pack right here. If I can grab it, there we go. So John Moore, this is for you, buddy. Let's see what John Moore can pull out of here. We've got a Charlie Brown Christmas. Didn't he just get arrested? Then we've got a Carson Takes Over the Tonight Show in the 60s. Donna Reed, 50s. The Edsel Flops, whatever that is, in the 50s. Up, you got a refractor. Route 66, decommissioned in the 80s, refractor. Some of these refractors are going for some good amounts on eBay, so that's a good one to pull. YouTube launches in the 2000s. First handheld cell phone, 70s, and a Rubik's Cube, 70s. So John Moore, there you go. Pulled a refractor out of there. Let me put these in your stack here. John Moore. And let me see who's up next. Marty D. Marty D right here, this pack for Marty D. So let's see what Marty can pull out of here. We've got James Dean dies in the 50s. First push button phone, 60s. Louis Armstrong, 60s, Louis Armstrong. Then you've got the Afro. It's one of those hair insert cards. You got an Afro card. Freddie Mercury tribute, 90s. Y2K dud, 2000s. Facebook founded in the 2000s. An Enron bankruptcy in the 2000s. So Marty, nothing going for you in that pack. No hits, no refractors, no buyback cards. Looking for these buyback cards, refractors, and hits. Next pack is going to be John Tran right here. So let's see. Let's see what he's got. Got a Hank Williams, 50s. Yes, I put you in the break for free. That is correct. Everybody that was in the room at the time, put everybody in the break. Spencer Tracy, 1950s, going out to you, Mr. John Tran. Hopalong Cassidy premieres, 1940s. First Instant Camera, 1940s. Then you got a Kilroy was here, whatever that is. Fads and Fashions insert from the 40s. Steve Jobs, 2000s. Tetris, 80s. And New Coke in the 80s. So John Tran, nothing going there. No hits, no parallels, no buybacks, no refractors. Yes, this is recording. So that is John Tran's stack there. Next up, it's going to be Medina. Medina gets the next two, which will be this one and this one. So Medina gets the next two. Right. So Medina, Fantastic begins in the 60s. Instant Replay's first use in the 60s. Doomsday Clock set in the 40s. And you got a refractor. Look at that. Calvin and Hobbes refractor. So that's cool. Some of these sell for high dollar on eBay. Just depends on which one they are. American Top 40 debuts in the 70s. The Simpsons premieres in the 80s. OJ Not Guilty in the 90s. And Survivor premieres in the 2000s. And next pack for Medina S. Got a Jimmy Stewart 40s. First Corvette released in the 50s. Leave It to Beaver 50s. Got an insert Hollywood Walk of Fame. Miles Davis insert. The Walkmans released in the 70s. Christopher Reeve in the 70s. Wheel of Fortune in the 70s. And The Price is Right in the 70s. So that was 2 packs for Medina. Got a refractor in there. Still looking for 3 hits. Still looking for 3 hits. Let's see who has the next pack. Next pack is going to be Syntex right here. Syntex. So let's see, Drew, what you can pull out of this pack. You got a 1940s Death of a Salesman. On the Road, 1950s. Rod Serling, 60s. Got a Hollywood Walk of Fame Jimi Hendrix insert. Harry Potter, 2000s. Osama bin Laden killed, 2000s. Court allows home recordings, 80s. Nancy Kerrigan attacked in the 90s. So those go to Drew. All right, next up we have Mike. Mike SCH. Mike S right here. This is Mike S. All right, we got a Zip Code. 1960s. Fantastic Four debuts in the 60s. Disneyland opens in the 50s. The Peace Symbol, 50s. The Macarena Fads and Fashions insert from the 90s. Luke and Laura marry on General Hospital in the 80s. There you go. ESPN launches in the 70s, and the Ramones released their debut album in the 70s. So Mike, no hits, no refractors, no buyback card. Nothing going in that pack. Still looking for 3 hits. Alright, let's see who's up next. Matt Stone is up next. Matt Stone. And this is the next pack for Matt Stone. So let's see what Matt Stone pulls out of here. Got a World War II ends from the 40s, 1984 in the 40s. Pompadour. This is another hairstyle insert card. Ooh, and you've got the first hit. Susan Lucci, celebrity worn memorabilia. That's cool. Matt Stone got the first hit of the box. Susan Lucci, celebrity worn memorabilia. Okay, then you've got a Secretariat's Triple Crown in the 70s. Johnny Cash in the 70s. So Matt Stone, the first hit. Let's see who's up next. Gonna be John Moore. So John Moore gonna be up next. And we got this Bowman draft picks and prospects in momentum breaks. If you guys want to get in on that. So this is John Moore, catcher in the rye from the 50s. Most boring day, 50s. Duke Ellington, 50s. Pantyhose invented in the 50s. Hell's Angels refractor in the 40s. Hell's Angels refractor. Pale blue dot from the 90s. U.S. wins the Women's World Cup in the 90s and September 11th, 2000s. That's going to go to John Moore. So John Moore, I think he's pulled 2 refractors out of here. Next up is Dale. Dale right here. So we're still looking for 2 hits. Still looking for 2 hits. So Dale, you got the Ball invents the smiley face in the 60s. Saturday Evening Post in the 60s. Gene Roddenberry in the 60s. Elizabeth Taylor, Hollywood Walk of Fame. And, ooh, Dale hit a buyback card. Look at that. Fear the Unknown, Grips, Ronnie, 1978, Columbia Pictures. This is an original buyback card. I don't even know what this is from. Fear of the Unknown, Grips, Ronnie, 1978, Columbia Pictures Industries. Anybody know what movie this is from? On the back is part of a bigger puzzle piece. Anybody know of a main character in a movie named Ronnie that's female? Fear of the Unknown, Grips, Ronnie. So, somebody can find that out. Let me know. Dale, you got yourself a buyback card. Topps American Pie. Jersey Shore premieres in the 2000s. Commodore PET released in the 70s. And MTV means music all day in the 80s. That was a long time ago when MTV meant music. Wow. Now it's all about the TV programming. So Dale, that pack was for you. And we have Greg Jennings with the next pack right here. Greg Jennings. And this will put us halfway through the box right here. So Greg Jennings. The first color TV, 1950s. Frank Sinatra, 50s. First pager introduced in the 50s. Napster debuts in the 90s. Oh, wow, this Napster debuts. Look at that. That's one of these disco refractors. Look at that, man. Disco ball refractor. Oh, those are really cool. Some of these sell for big money, so make sure you look this up. Greg Jennings, 1990s Napster debut. See if that's one of the good ones there. That's real cool. Fads and fashions from the 60s. Ricky Ticky stickers. Got the 70s, Atlantic City. America's Bicentennial in the 70s, and Battle of the Sexes in the 70s. So that's going out to Greg Jennings. Greg Jennings. We'll see who's in on the next pack. See, I like these American Pie breaks, man. They're cheap. Only $3 to get in. And you can get some cool stuff out of here. So here we go. Next up, Tim S. Still looking for 2 hits. Okay, buyback cards, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Thank you. All right. I can tell you that Tim S. is about to get a hit. Groucho Marx is the insert, and the hit is going to be Don McLean, Celebrity Worn Memorabilia. Don McLean. Right, that's a pretty thick one too. Don McLean. So that's going out to Tim S. So Tim S. just got a hit. So we're looking for one more hit. Tim S. pulled one of the hits. Next up, right here, John Moore coming up next. John Moore. This is a Hells Angels from the 40s. Dean Martin from the 40s. American Bandstand from the 50s. Elizabeth Taylor from the 60s. First NASCAR race held refractor. Look at that. How cool is that? These refractors are awesome, man. 1940s. First NASCAR race held. No, Drew, I didn't. I'll send it to you, though. I'll send it out to you. Love these refractors. So this is going out to, I believe it's John Moore. And John Lennon from the 70s. Michael Jackson's Thriller in the 80s. Oprah Winfrey Show in the 80s. So those are for John Moore. Next up, we have Medina. Medina S right here. So we have, I'll show you here, Medina. It's this one. Syntax, Tim S, Kenny K, Medina, John Broda, Marcos B, Greg Jennings, Paul Wooden, and Medina again. So that's the order right there. But we're on Medina right now. So let's see what Medina can pull out of here. 1960s To Kill a Mockingbird. Cary Grant from the 60s. The Godfather from the 60s. Got the Blowout Hair card. Kurt Cobain's Suicide, 90s. Napster debuts in the 90s. Human Genome Project in the 2000s. And Obama elected in the 2000s. So those are going out to Medina. And next up, still looking for a hit. One more hit left. So Syntax, Drew, up next. I got a couple 10s, Drew. I'll send you what I got. 1960s. This is your pack, Drew. 60 Minutes from the 60s. Jackie Gleason from the 50s. TV Dinners from the 50s. The Today Show debuts, 50s. Fads and Fashions, the Live Strong wristbands, the 2000s. Blogging Takes Place, 2000s. Iwo Jima Memorial from the 50s. And George Carlin from the 70s. So next up is Tim S. right here. Tim S., you're next, sir. Still looking for a hit. Peanuts debuts in the 50s. Emmy Awards in the 40s. Volkswagen Beetle, 40s. Dean Martin insert, Hollywood Walk of Fame. Oh, wow. What a hit that is. Mickey Rooney auto. Dang, man. That's good stuff. Tim S. gets another hit. Tim S. gets 2 hits out of here. Mickey Rooney auto. That's good stuff right there. Kenny, you were off by a pack, man. 1 pack too early. That's a real nice Mickey Rooney auto. Going out to Tim S. Wow. We got the 70s. I'm Not a Crook. Garfield debuts in the 70s. Final episode of MASH in the 80s. So check out Tim S. Just pulling some hits. Let me get this thing in a top loader. That's a seriously inked up auto right there, though. Look at that. Well, Kenny, you're up next. So let's hope you can pull out one of these refractors that's selling for, 90, 100 bucks on here. That was Tim S. Okay. Kenny, you're up next. Here you go. Let's pull you out one of these refractors. Kenny, let me know when you're back. And we'll keep it going. So we're going to have Kenny, Medina, John Broda, Marcos, Greg Jennings, Paul Wooden, and Medina again. So Kenny, you're up. Here you go. Let's see if you can get a refractor or another one of these buyback cards being here. 1960s is the first ATM. Grace Kelly from the 50s. Orson Welles, 50s. Alfred Hitchcock, 60s. There you got a refractor right there. Humphrey Bogart refractor. Don't know if that's one of the ones to get, but that's really cool looking. Then you got a Seinfeld premieres in the 80s. Unabomber arrested in the 90s. Martha Stewart indicted in the 2000s. So you did get a cool refractor in there. Humphrey Bogart. Let me put these in your stack. Yeah, I can do that. No problem. Yeah, I shipped everything out today from this week. Medina is up next. Medina. You've got a Warhol soup cans from the 60s. Lenny Bruce from the 60s. Hot Wheels 60s. Errol Flynn Hollywood Walk of Fame insert. Bernie Madoff arrested, 2000s. Baby Jessica from the 80s. Calvin and Hobbes, 80s. And Route 66 decommissioned in the 80s. So that's going out to Medina. And then next up is John Broda. John Broda right here. So let's see what Mr. John Broda can get. Guinness Book of World Records in the 50s. First transistor radio, 50s. Lucille Ball, 50s. World's first remote control, 50s. Baby on Board, fads and fashions from the 80s. Who Shot JR, 80s. Muppet Show, 70s. And World Trade Center Open, 70s. So John Broda. Not much going in that pack. Not much going in that one. But that's alright. Get this thing going for you here. And who's up next? Marcos. Marcos B right here. Let's see if we can't get a refractor out of here for you. Since all the hits are gone. See if we can get you a refractor. Grady the Cow or a buyback card. Aliens in Our Midst from the 40s. Bikini 40s. Got the Dreadlocks hair card insert. Sesame Street 60s. John Belushi 70s. Atari in the 70s. And CNN launches in the 80s. So not a lot going in that pack. Marcos. Let me see here. Let me put this in your bag. All right, next up is Greg Jennings. Greg Jennings. Hey, yeah, that's cool. You're exactly right. Can't beat that. Hey, no problem, man. You guys are welcome. Dr. Seuss from the 50s. These are going to Greg Jennings. Motown Records 50s. Birth Control 60s. Jeopardy 60s. Baby Jessica 80s. We Are the World 80s. Tear Down This Wall, Ronald Reagan. Titanic from the 90s. So those are going to Greg Jennings. Let me find his bag. Oh, there it is. Greg Jennings. Then next up, Paul Wooden. Paul Wooden. Here you go, sir. Mr. Paul Wooden. How the Grinch Stole Christmas in the 60s. Jimi Hendrix 60s. Jim Henson Company 50s. Hollywood Walk of Fame James Cagney insert. First iPod released in the 2000s. Phelps wins 8 golds. This iPod card just feels so much thicker than the other ones. Phelps wins 8 golds in the 2000s. Hurricane Irene 2000s. Windows 1 in the 80s. So that was going to Paul Wooden. I thought I already had a stack for Mr. Wooden, but I guess not. So I can simply make one. Then the last pack is going to go to Medina. Yeah, check out that iPod card. Just kind of felt a little bit different. Alright, and last pack goes to Medina. So let's see here. Vincent Price from the 50s. Humphrey Bogart 50s. First NASCAR race held in the 40s. Poodle Skirts in the 50s. Live Aid in the 80s. The first Happy Meal in the 70s. Roots in the 70s. And first UPC scanned is in the 70s. So those are going to Medina. So anyway, that is yet another box down of Topps American Pie. Fun stuff. Real cheap, Brad. It's only $3 to get in those.